Imagine waking up one morning and seeing a text message that makes your heart sink so deep you can feel it in your bones. That's what happened to me when my husband went away for what he called a hunting weekend. Instead of checking in with a sweet good morning or telling me how the trip was going, his message was cold and sharp. He said he had moved our entire savings, everything we had built together, every cent of security for our future, into his girlfriend's real estate venture. Then, as if twisting the knife wasn't enough, he added that she was ambitious unlike me, and that they were going to flip houses together. I remember staring at the screen, numb, reading the words over and over again, trying to process how the man I thought was my partner could not only betray me but insult me in the same breath. My chest tightened, my hands shook, and yet, somewhere inside, I felt a strange calm. Because at that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. If you've ever dreamed about seeing justice served to someone who underestimated and betrayed you, you're going to love what comes next. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and get ready, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. My husband and I had been married for 8 years. We weren't rich, but we lived comfortably. Every vacation we took, every little project we planned for the house, every rainy day fund we saved, it all went into our joint account. I trusted him completely. We talked about our dreams for retirement, about maybe buying a little cottage near the lake one day. I thought we were a team. And yet, while I was planning for our future, he was plotting his escape. This girlfriend of his wasn't new. I had suspicions for months. Late night calls, sudden business meetings that never added up, the way he started dressing sharper, smelling like cologne he never used to wear. But I buried those suspicions under trust, telling myself I was overthinking. When I read that message, all those puzzle pieces clicked together, and it made me feel like a fool. Worse, he made me feel like I wasn't enough. Ambitious unlike you. Those words cut deeper than the betrayal of money. It wasn't just about finances, it was about him devaluing me, dismissing everything I had contributed to our life. For a brief moment, I almost broke. I sat there in silence, tears burning in my eyes, and I thought about how powerless he wanted me to feel. But then, the anger settled in. Cold, sharp, and focused. He thought he was clever, that I'd just sit here helpless while he threw away everything we had worked for. But what he didn't realize is that real estate doesn't always guarantee success. And what he really didn't count on was me being smarter than him. I called my lawyer that very same day. Not tomorrow, not after I had time to cool off. No, right then. My lawyer had dealt with messy divorces before, and when I explained the situation, he didn't waste a second. We filed immediately for divorce and for freezing of assets. Because here's the thing, my husband might have transferred the money, but it was still marital property. And that meant his little adventure with his girlfriend wasn't just reckless. It was legally tied to me too. That was his first mistake. While he was out there playing business tycoon with his mistress, I was quietly tightening the noose. I didn't respond to his message. Not a single word. Silence was my weapon, and he didn't even realize the storm that was coming. The girlfriend thought she was going to build some kind of empire with my husband. But the real estate market is brutal, and they had no clue what they were doing. Within a few months, projects stalled. They overpaid for properties, underestimated repair costs, and relied on money that wasn't really theirs to begin with. And every time they tried to make a move, the legal walls I had set in place closed tighter. Loans were denied. Titles were blocked. Contracts were questioned. Because my lawyer had done his job perfectly. I remember the day my husband finally called me after weeks of silence. His voice wasn't arrogant anymore. It was desperate. "We're having some issues. Can we talk?" he said, his words shaky. I almost laughed. The man who once called me unambitious was now begging me to help untangle the mess he created. I let him ramble, listening to excuses, half-baked apologies, and promises of fixing things. When he was done, I simply said, "Real estate never fails, right? Good luck with that." Then I hung up. By the time the divorce was finalized, I had the upper hand in every way. The court recognized his reckless transfer of savings as marital waste, which meant I was entitled to a larger share of the remaining assets. His little empire with his girlfriend collapsed before it even started, leaving them both drowning in debt. He lost the house, most of his retirement savings, and any credibility he thought he had as some kind of entrepreneur. And me, I walked away not just financially secure, but free from the weight of a man who had tried to define my worth by his shallow standards. The sweetest part wasn't the money or even the justice in court. It was the look on his face when he realized I had beaten him at his own game. He thought I'd crumble, that I'd cling to him, beg for scraps. Instead, I outsmarted him and left him with nothing but regret. His ambitious girlfriend soon bailed, realizing she'd hitched herself to a sinking ship. And I was there, standing tall, unbroken, and stronger than ever. Revenge isn't always about screaming or getting angry. Sometimes it's about patience, strategy, and letting people destroy themselves with their own arrogance. My husband underestimated me, but in the end, he learned the hard way that underestimating the quiet ones is the biggest mistake of all. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this: don't ever let someone else define your worth. Betrayal hurts, but sometimes that pain can become the fire that pushes you to rise higher than you ever thought possible. Karma doesn't always come right away, but when it does, it's worth every second of the wait. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or imagined? And of course, subscribe if you want more stories like this one, because trust me, there are plenty more where this came from.